Welcome to River West Flowing. I'm your host, Jorianne the Coffee Psychic, and we're going to have a wonderful show today. We've got a couple of really great women here who have had some very unusual experiences with the paranormal. My first guest is Jeanette Castaldo.
Hello, Jorianne.
Welcome, Jeanette, to the show. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me.
Great. You know, I asked you to come on today, and I want to let all of the viewers know that I've known you for years.
Yes.
Okay, we go back many years together. We started getting to know each other when I was doing house parties,
Yes.
right, doing psychic readings. You invited me to your home. And as it all evolved and developed over many, many years, it just turns out that very recently, and we'll go back to your past. I want to do that a little bit later on, okay? It turns out very recently, you've had some very unusual experiences happening over this last, I don't know, maybe even 2 or 3 years. And I'd say we've known each other 9 or 10 years about, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and I'm just going to say a little bit about it, and then I want you to share with me what's been happening, okay? You literally, you know that saying, I got a bug in my ear.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You literally got a bug in your ear.
Yes, I did.
Right?
Yes, I did.
And then strange things started happening to you.
The very next day.
The very next day. So now, you're a psychic channeler.
And
Tell me what happened.
I almost don't want to say it just happened, and it is weird because I was out in Air Force Preserve and I'm planning something for my husband and I get out of the truck and I see all these little bugs there. I thought I shoot it away, so here I am talking to this priest about my husband and I renewing our vows, and I'm like, something's in my ear, something's in my ear. So I figured, oh, no, it's nothing. So a couple hours later, I'm driving home, and I feel the bug moving around. So I was shocked. I just wanted to, like, jump out of my skin. I'm like, oh, my God, is it big? Is it trying to find its way out? I was like, what's going on, you know?
Or where was it going, right?
Exactly. I was scared. So I was crying. I was upset, scared. And then that same day, though, which was April 21st, my husband's 40th birthday, he tells me, Jeanette, maybe you should, I know you've known stuff since you were young, but why don't you make that the last thing you talk about every day in the evening? So I got a little upset. Well, it's your birthday, fine, whatever. The very next day, I go to a wedding shower, and we're all sitting at the table, and the girl to the right says, when are you having Jorianne, the coffee psychic, at your house again? And I said, in the summer. The girl to the left says, Jeanette can do some of that. I said, oh, no, I don't do what Jorianne does. I just know stuff here and there. And then all of a sudden, I pick up everything on everyone at the table, people who passed, their friends, their kids. And I said, what's going on? So I get home that day, and then I was just picking up that day, the next day, everything on people walking by, like how many kids they had, and it just like totally, like, you know, shocked me. And then ever since then, I've been doing readings and channelings. Just all the information comes to me.
So it just turned on, like
just
a
turned
switch.
on at the age of 33.
33, like Jesus Christ, right?
Absolutely.
Very powerful age, right? 33.
Absolutely, yes.
And I understand that it happens for a lot of people, like there's a big change in their lives at the age of 33, and it happened for you, just that way. Now, I also want to mention that you also had to go medically to get this bug removed out of your ear.
Yes, I did, and it was very teeny tiny, just a little one, but enough to make me scared, you know, and you know, just freak me out. In other words, you know, it just made me really, really scared. But yeah, they took it out, they flushed it out, very tiny, microscopic. So I laugh and I say, was that the bug of knowledge, the bug of information?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And you know, you got to think about your eardrums as like this big amplifier, right?
Absolutely.
So it really had to really sound very loud to you.
Absolutely.
And it scared you.
Absolutely.
So, but now something magical has happened to you.
I started to hear everything.
Yeah.
And hear and feel. Just everything. It just kicked in, and I thought, was it because my husband said to me, like maybe he stopped believing in things that I told him? Was that the reason? Or was it just meant to be? I picked it up, ironically, in the month of April as well, when Jesus was crucified. And I wasn't sure, you know. So me being Catholic, I said, show me 3 signs. Am I meant to do this? Am I meant to help others, to communicate with them, to transfer this information back and forth? And I did get the 3 signs.
You did get the 3 signs?
I absolutely did, in the same day. I thought it would take months. I got them the same day.
Wow. So tell me, what were those signs?
Well, Two were dice. There's something I have with the dice in the car, and I would only see them here and there because of something that happened in the past. And I had seen 30 cars go by within 1 hour with dice hanging from the mirror.
Oh my goodness.
And I thought, people don't even do that anymore. That's just something from the 80s or something. And it was one more thing I forgot, but the main thing was something that if I seen it, I would know that the Blessed Mother answered me, and this is what I was meant to do. So I pull into this little grocery store area. I get out on the driver's side. I come around, and what does the car next to me have? The picture of Jesus, like a mass card, facing outward from the driver mirror, like this person drove around with it all day. I walked right into it. I said, this is my sign. I knew it. I seen his picture, and who drives around with the mass card? Yes. So I knew from then on there I was meant to do it. I was meant to do this.
So you prayed, you asked, and you got your signs.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Totally. And so, what would you tell other people, Jeanette, that have had weird and strange, unusual experiences? Because I too got hit in the head. And it was after that I started being able to see things before they'd happen. Mm-hmm. So what would you tell other people that are like wanting to come in this field? Because I remember telling you over the many years that you were intuitive, that you were psychic, and you had the ability to do this.
Yes, you always have.
Yes, but not everyone just runs out to buy a set of tarot cards, right?
Yeah, and I've never used them. I don't know how. I don't use anything. It's just everything I hear. It just comes to me. The person sits there, and I just receive all the information.
So tell me, we'll go back to the other question, but tell me how do you do this for people now? What happens?
They just come, they sit by me, and I give them a reading, and what they do is, and they don't even have to ask me any questions, and sometimes I will get the answer right while they're in the middle of the question and they haven't even finished yet. Yes. But I'll sit there and I'll pick up and I'll say something funny like sweet potatoes, and I'm thinking, should I say that? But my spirit guides are telling me, say this. And I asked that question too. I said, where am I getting this information from? Who's giving it to me? I asked myself one day, and I heard the names Andrew and Cleo, which are, wonderful. I presume, are my spirit guides. Mm-hmm. And they told me, and then they told me I should always wear white.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, I'm going to the nut place, because if I tell somebody this, they're going to think I'm crazy, But they said always wear white because, and I heard it's for innocence and purity. That's what I'll send out, and that's what I'll receive.
Okay. All right, so now you've got these strange people talking inside of your head.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you're listening.
Absolutely.
Right? And you're accurate.
Yes.
Okay. So this is like an initiation for you, isn't it?
Yes, and like you said, asking about the people, what I would tell them is that at first I was very scared, and I was a little skeptical, because I said, why am I picking everything up? This seemed at first to be wrong to me, and I'm thinking, why do I think it's wrong? Until I asked for my 3 signs and got them. But I felt it to be wrong. But then after I did my first channeling, because I did have a daughter who passed, as you know, and I knew that that's what I was meant to do, because I helped heal this mom who had lost a daughter, and so I just knew. But I would say, follow it. It's nothing evil. It's totally what God wants you to do. And the more you try to fight it, the more it comes to you anyway. So you have to almost go with the flow.
Totally. Yeah. And it's just amazing. It's amazing what you've gone through, and I want to go over that a little bit later on, okay, in the show. And it's amazing how you just, like a light switch just turned on in your head, literally. From I got a little bug in my ear, right?
Absolutely. No one believes me. They said, Jeanette, that I knew for 20 years, Jeanette, the girl that was in nursing, Jeanette, my friend, we didn't know you had this power, and people are so amazed. And at first, like when I was starting, now you've been a professional now for so many years, I'm new at this, but so many people, like I would say, oh, let me tell you this. I know this on you because I'm new, and I said, let me test you, but now I realize I will get burnt out, so I turn it on when I need it and turn it off when I don't.
Good for you.
Otherwise it runs me down, but it is fun in the beginning. Look what I can do, look what I know.
Totally.
It's fun, but I keep it light and I keep it fun. And I do believe in the end, though, only God does know the true outcome. That's just what I feel in my heart, and that's just what I know.
Yes, and only God does. Yes, you got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Yes. Well, I want to go to my next guest. That's Monique.
Hi, Jordan.
Yes, how are you?
Okay.
Great. And there's a special relationship with Monique and Jeanette,
Yes.
and they're mother and daughter.
Yes.
Yes. And I've known Monique also for years and years and years. And you know, Monique, what I want to ask you is the paranormal or the psychic field a stranger to your life?
Well, being my father was of Indian descent, and I feel that I had, picked up something from him. I get premonitions in my sleep myself, and I noticed my daughter Jeanette in 7th and 8th grade, we both picked up on something together. There's something that, was very bad that happened to my older daughter while she was at home. She almost got raped at the time. My daughter Jeanette was in school and she felt that there was something wrong. I was about 5 miles away at work, and I was walking with my boss that day, and I felt there was something wrong at home. I mean, it's just a heavy, bad feeling. And when I got home from work, there's police all over, and the lady next door told me something happened to your daughter. And, it wasn't until I got in the house that I heard all the details, but we both picked up on it at the same time. I felt, I know I have a lot of abilities, but being a mother, and, I really didn't go into it, so I don't know if it's something passed down through the family, being of Indian descent, but I have a lot of abilities too. But
Yeah.
I've talked to psychics in the past. They said I do have psychic abilities, but it's basically with family members, like my sons, my daughters, or somebody I get real close to.
Which is beautiful. So you've had these experiences, and I was noticing we're getting a little feedback, and I'm wondering if those are the spirits coming into to our room today. You know what I'm saying? So you've had the experiences yourself, and then it seems like this is something that possibly has come down through the lineage, where now Jeanette is really being impacted. Okay, so can you tell me an experience or two that you had that you were just like, oh my God, I just knew this was going to happen?
Well, I get a lot of premonitions. One time, a few years back, I was on my way to work. I had a dream that I may be raped or attempted rape.
Okay.
And I went to work the next morning, and a guy followed me out of nowhere. Just followed me and kept following me and stopped the car and looked at me like, I'm going to get you, lady. And being that I had that premonition, I was aware to act on the dream that I had. I was able to safely get into a restaurant, asked the lady to call the police, got the plate number, and what was funny at the time, in Oak Lawn, they had a lot of rapes going on.
Wow.
And ever since I returned this man in, I haven't heard any rapes or anything in that area, so I'm thinking that was a guide for me to get this guy caught. And he tried to tell police it's my old girlfriend, I seen her before. I said, officer, I work out here, I'm married. I said, I don't know this man. So ever since, they talked to him, there hasn't been any more rapes. I have funny premonitions.
But I just want to comment on that, though. What a godsend. What a gift it is to have a gift where you come through and you can see somebody that's dangerous, right, in a dream ahead of time, or get information about it, and suddenly then you're confronted with this. And that saying that I use all the time is, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. So you were able then to take action, call the police immediately because you identified that there was a serious problem, that you were forewarned in your dream state, okay, and get it handled. And then now the proof in the pudding is these terrible experiences that were happening ceased. They stopped.
They did.
And they nabbed this guy. Yeah. So isn't that amazing to you?
Definitely.
And how does that make you feel? I mean, did you feel like you did something good for other people, or how was that for you?
I just didn't understand. I said, well, maybe being that I reported this man, the rape stop in Oak Lawn at the time and in the areas around there, because I worked in Hickory Hills at the time. Haven't heard of another rape case after that, so I'm thinking that was, my guide to help. And then I have abilities where I can look at people. If I, that I work with for a while, there was one man, he's a senior getting ready to retire, and I told him, I said he didn't look good to me. And you can't exactly tell people, go see a doctor, you don't look good to a point of death.
Well, you can, but it takes a little while of being in this field going like, I got something really serious to share with you, okay? But so you take a while to get to be able to do that. But go ahead.
I did warn him. I said, Lou, you have to go see a doctor. I said, you don't really look good. I said, you look really tired, and I don't know. I said, but you should see a doctor. It was sad to hear a couple days later he died of a stroke in his sleep. So I could see things through people, but you don't know how to tell them. You want to veer off, because half the people, if you tell them that, won't listen anyhow. They'll say, you're crazy, lady, or something. But there's things you could see and unexplainable.
Sure. So for you, when you were working with your psychic abilities and stuff, the challenge that you were finding was the right way to be able to tell people without scaring them. That's what I'm hearing from you. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So, but if somebody came up to you now, Monique, and said, Monique, I think you've got a medical problem. I really would like you to go to the doctors. Would you look at that as a gift, or would you say, what are you, nuts? Or would you say, what, I'm psychic myself. I'm making my appointment today.
I would probably say, look, okay, and walk away and never go.
Just because she doesn't like to go to the doctor.
So that's a personal choice. That's your relationship with your doctors, right?
Definitely.
Okay, and so maybe it would strike you differently, perhaps at the time, right? Right?
But you do have...
Well, being that, I know this ability, and I'd look at that person, see, are they being, honest about it? I mean, like I said, I could see through people. I usually look at their eyes. If I can't look at their eyes, I know there's something wrong. Yeah. And if I seen they were sincere and maybe there's something they're seeing in me, I probably would go to a doctor.
Okay, well, and thank you. Thank you for that, because it's always good to pay attention, because the one thing I've learned over the years is that God uses each and every one of us to communicate to other people. So just like Jeanette and just like yourself, us being messengers, that when we are sensitive enough to be able to listen and hear within, then we become the messenger to pass God's message along to the other people, okay? And that's what the psychic field is all about. So I want to ask you another question, Monique.
Okay.
Can you tell me what it was like having Jeanette as a little girl, having some just a little unusual experiences going on? What was it like for you, the mom? Because Jeanette said she'd had some experiences when she was younger, when she was growing up, but she didn't quite really get it or tap into it or whatever, like this is like, oh, she's the psychic or whatever. What was it like for you raising Jeanette?
Well, she never got in trouble, and I think because she knows when she would get in trouble. I mean, she was usually the quiet one, or veered away from trouble. It's like, how did she know she'd be in trouble if she did this? I mean, the other ones were always in trouble, and she always veered away from getting yelled at or spanked or anything. It's like, how is she getting out of this so easy? But growing up, she did do some strange things. I mean, she just knew to veer away from getting scolded or anything. She was the only one that would run away from trouble.
And she
it's
said,
like, how'd she get away from
didn't
it?
you say, too, sometimes when I was young, I would just sit up and start, talking in a different language or babbling. I would sit up, talk, and then just fall back down.
Wow. Now, that's very unusual.
Get up, say blah, 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 and then fall back down. Like, who's she talking to or what's she saying? Or, But the thing is when she was talking about when you're able to know stuff, is that you can hear stuff sometimes, but you don't always have control over it. Like, even if you want to, they're just letting you know, what's to come. And it's amazing because before all this kicked in, I had met my husband 8.5 years ago, and I was sitting on his mother's front porch swing, and I had met her for the first time on Mother's Day, which was only a week that I've known my husband, and I met her. And I heard the words while I was sitting right next to this lady. Her name was Sis. I was sitting right next to her, and I heard the words, "This lady's going to die, and you're only going to get to know the father." And I thought, why would I think that? So I brushed it off. I was young. I said, whatever. She died the next Sunday.
Wow.
And I said to myself, oh, my God, I killed her. Because I didn't know what was happening, what was going on, who was, I had no idea.
And you thought you were thinking those thoughts.
I thought.
And that made it happen.
And I didn't know. And I thought, oh, my God, because I thought it, I did it. But I didn't know that she had eventually passed away from congestive heart failure. I didn't know that she was on dialysis. I knew nothing of her history.
Right.
She was new to me, you know.
So this was so you got some early word about your mother-in-law's passing, and because you weren't used to the psychic information coming through, you blew it off.
Absolutely.
Right? And sometimes what happens is, really, would you have been able to do anything about it anyway?
No.
Right?
That's my point.
Yeah, like your mom, Monique, she's telling her friend, you know, I really think you should go to the doctors. But sometimes things are just meant to happen.
Absolutely.
And that we're going to become aware of it, you know?
And that is exactly what happened. I got to know the father who I loved. He was such a wonderful man, my father-in-law, Mike. And he did. He came and he lived with us all the years.
Yes, yes, and I remember meeting him.
A wonderful, wonderful man.
Yep, yep, wonderful.
Exactly how I heard it was exactly what happened.
Totally. And it's really amazing. So your abilities started out younger, and again, being passed down generationally, you know, through your mom and from grandpa and stuff like this, the family having it come through. Thank you very much. It's wonderful.
And another thing that happened to me is her sister-in-law. We're at her twins christening, and I turned around and I said, "How you feeling?" And she said, "Oh, I'm fine." And only to know a couple days later, I picked up a son. She's going to lose the baby.
Oh, wow.
I picked it up, and I turned around. I go, because she said the doctor said everything's fine. And then a couple days later, Jeanette and Joe called me and said she lost her baby. I mean, that's scary when you don't apply yourself yet, you know this is happening.
Sure.
I mean, like Jeanette said, you think you're causing this because it's happening. It's just hard to deal with psychic abilities sometimes.
It's very hard to deal with psychic abilities. You've got a lot of young kids that are growing up, you know, with these abilities and these senses, and right away, because a parent is very uncomfortable with it, they're going to put the kibosh on it. When a little child says something, they're like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." Or, "Mommy, there's a spirit in the room." "Oh, there's no one there, don't be silly." But if the parents are open to this type of thing, then they can really help the child evolve within this psychic ability, and knowing that this is normal, and that also, as the human race that we are, we're going to live, we get born, it's the doorway in, and then we're going to cross over, because we all came from God, we're going back to God, right?
Absolutely.
And so when our time is up, we're going back home to the OK Corral, and that's just the way it goes, right? So sometimes we become warned of these things, but other times we get warnings about things that can be prevented. And so you'll see that, Jeanette. You know, I've had that where I tell people about a medical situation, and then I definitely request that they go to the doctors, because I tell them, look, I'm not 100%, but I want to let you know, it looks like you've got something coming up. Will you please go get it checked out? And of course, the choice is yours. So it's something that you'll have to work with, getting used to doing, and knowing that you're just a messenger and you're giving information across.
Yes.
Okay? So thank you. Well, I want to move on here. We have another guest that's joined us today. This is Willow. Thank you for coming on the show, Willow.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. I understand that you have had a lot of unusual experiences yourself. Yes?
Here and there, here and there.
Yes. And I understand that you actually started out as a young person having some unusual experiences, but it scared you.
Well, I don't remember that. I was
Okay.
told by a psychic later on that I was a full medium by the time I was 4,
Yes.
and that it was so overwhelming to that little girl that I shut it down,
Yes.
and that it would open as it was okay and as I felt safe and comfortable.
Yes.
And then it was years later that I had a very clear, fun experience. I was at work, and we had a lunchroom with a wall, machines, like Coke machine, that kind of thing, a wall, and then a TV on the other side. And the old show, I've Got a Secret, was on. And I was getting myself a Coke, and I was behind the wall looking at the machines, getting my Coke, and I heard them say, "And now we'll show the folks at home what the secret is." And I heard everybody clap, and then they were going to start the questioning, and I walked around, and I looked at the person on the TV, and I said, "Well, she's the first lady skydiver." And then they started asking, "Well, were you this?" And I'm answering before she does, "And were you this, and was this?" And I'm going, yeah. And on and on. And finally, somebody said, "Were you the first woman to jump out of a plane with a parachute?" And I went, "Well, finally." And I started walking back to my desk, and halfway back I went, whoa, how did I know that? That's weird.
Yes, wasn't that amazing?
And that was my first kind of really conscious, aware thing of, hey, Chicky, you know, you got something going on here.
Yeah. So now, so that left you with a great awareness that you do have a gift.
Yes.
All right. So when you realized that you had this gift, what was going through your head?
What do I do with it? Do I want it? What's the deal here?
Yeah.
I've not been entirely comfortable with reading, like you were saying, and you were saying. At the same job, I was a hippie, and there was a Morgan deck, which was considered the hippie tarot deck. And it was stick figures, and it would say, like, have a picture and then say, as above, so below, or, you know, whatever. And my father was a psychic and read tarot. So I got this Morgan deck, and I got the books like he used that said you lay it here and here, and this means that, and that means that. And I'd lay it out, and I'd, you know, read in the book and see what each position meant and everything. And then I kind of sit back and I make up a story. And then, you know, we'd all goof around with it and play, and that was that. And I'd take the cards and I'd go home. And I was doing that at work at lunch and stuff just as a goof and making stuff up, and it didn't mean anything. And then people started coming back to me and saying, you're so accurate, would you read me again? I'm like, oh, this is odd. So I called my father and I said, when you're doing a reading, what does it feel like? He said, well, I lay out the cards and I look in the book and see what the positions mean and everything, and then I sit back and I make up a story. And I went, oh my God. And sadly, I packed up the cards and put them in silk and put them away and didn't use them again, because that scared me.
It did scare you.
The responsibility. Not the paranormal doesn't scare me of itself. I think it's really fun. And when people say, oh, this happened and it's really weird, I tend to think, oh, that's really cool, how fun. And I really do see it that way. My problem comes in with the fear of the responsibility of telling somebody else something.
And what is that like for you? I mean, what scares you? Does it scare you if you're right, or does it scare you if you're wrong?
More if I'm wrong.
Okay.
More if I'm wrong. That I'm going to tell somebody something, and I'm going to be wrong, and they're going to respond to it as if I'm right, and it's going to hurt them in some way. It's going to be negative for them in some way. That's the fear for me.
Okay. Now I'm just going to share this with you, okay, as you are really coming more into this field. My understanding is, of course, there is no time on the other side. So what we pick up is out there in the astral planes, okay? And it involves the past, the present, and the future. Now, some psychics will know exactly this date, this time. And sometimes the spirits will give it to you that way. But sometimes it's supposed to be given to the person just as information that's going to help this person. And you really do not know how it's going to turn out. Now, maybe the information you were given to these people, whether it was right or wrong, was a test for that person to learn how maybe to rely on their own inner guidance, okay? Or the fact that now you're presented with a choice. This is what looks like might happen if you go down this route. Here's the choice. You know, go right or go left, go north or go south. What are you going to choose? Okay? So, I mean, I would love to encourage you to maybe pick that gift up again, okay? Because I've known you for a short while now. I've known you also, we've go back about a year now, right?
Yeah,
okay.
about that.
And I see you as a very spiritual woman. I know you're a very spiritual woman. I know you've got your spiritual guidance, okay? And I know you're out there to heal the earth. I know you're out there to heal the world, okay? You do a lot of charities, things like this. You volunteer, right?
Yeah.
So I would love to encourage you to open up your mind and to maybe wrap yourself around it, that there's a reason for everything, and you just maybe want to trust what you hear and give it as you hear it. And I've also learned work on not interpreting what you're hearing, but rather deliver it. Like Jeanette had said, oh, I heard, what did you say, a pumpkin, or what was that word you said you heard?
I was speaking to my husband's mother who passed, and I said, let me see if I can pick up something on her. So I was in the kitchen, exactly right, and I heard the word turtle, tiny turtle, and I said to myself, oh, my husband played with a tiny turtle. I'm picturing this little turtle going across my head when he was younger. So 2 minutes later, I heard the word Pixies, my favorite candy, which is also a turtle.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so
and then what happened?
I thought, oh my God, her favorite candies. So they send you messages sometimes, and I notice that they like to rhyme. They'll say, you know, something funny like, Penelope, she liked pineapples, or they like to rhyme like that when they talk to me. And it is sometimes, like you said, they'll tell you stuff, and it's not up to you to say, should I say that or shouldn't I? Because no information that's given to you is not important, and it may sound silly to me or to you, but to them it means something. Like I said earlier, sweet potatoes, and the girl says, "Oh, that's my favorite. I eat it every day," or you know, and you're like, "Wow, really?" You know, but it's you just say what you hear, you know, and that's it. And whatever comes out, comes out, you know.
Well, I just want to mention to you, Jeanette, now, and I want you to really hear me on this one. My spirit guides don't rhyme.
Oh, that's funny.
They just don't rhyme,
That's
okay?
funny.
Now, sometimes they'll sing, but they don't rhyme. And I know that there's a psychic out there, and she's called the Singing Psychic.
Oh,
you
that's
know,
funny.
maybe we'll have her on sometime. But, you know, her information comes out through music. And sometimes I will hear my information through music, but mine don't tell rhymes, okay? So I just want to let you know that that's your special gift.
Oh, it's funny. Yeah, because a lady asked me about some kid, I don't remember, his name was Polly, and I got the word Polly, that's priceless. And it turned out to be his favorite saying.
Yes.
And I thought, what, you know, it's amazing.
Totally, totally. And even things like when I say don't judge. I had a gentleman come to me this one time, and horses were all over his reading, in his coffee, in the cards, in everything. And I, you know, I'll use whatever comes to me. So I asked him, are you a gambler? Now remember, now I'm in my interpretation stage, right? You know, and really we don't want to go there. You just give the information and put it out there. So I said, are you a gambler? Do you love the races? Do you just love horses? He says, Jorianne, I don't like horses at all. He says, I don't know what that is. And I says, well, honestly, I don't know what it is either. But when you find out, let me know. And I always tell people, I don't know what I'm talking about. You normally do. Okay? And that's the way it is. I'm a little psychic reporter. I hear it and I pass it on. And that's what you will find also in this field. What you hear, you receive from, you know, from God, from the spirit world, and then you pass it on, because that's the commitment that we have when you come into this world. It's a job you choose to do, be with people, help them. Okay? So he calls me back about a month later. Jorianne, you are never going to believe it. I went and got a new job, and what's the symbol? All over the entire company's building, horses, horses, horses.
Isn't that
right?
neat?
So you learn how not to, you learn how not to interpret. You just go ahead, I'm not going to interpret this. He'll get it later.
Absolutely.
Okay? So Willow, I want to go back to you a little bit here. And you told me that your dad also was a psychic, and he did this work.
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you feel like he impacted you in some way, or did you even pay attention to what your dad was doing when you were growing up? You did.
Oh,
great.
absolutely. I loved it.
Great.
I absolutely loved it. There were 3 daughters, and my mother and my father.
Okay. And
my mother and my older sister really thought that was all just kind of hooey.
Okay.
Although how anybody watching them could think that, but that's another story. And my little sister and I really saw that what he was doing was real. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. And he was probably one of the most spiritual people I've ever known. Very accurate, very, very accurate. Toward the end of his life, he got to the point where he didn't use the cards anymore. He'd just sit and hold your hand. Wow. And just make up stories and start talking. He felt very responsible about it. There's a reading, a tarot, as I'm sure you know, that you put out some cards and you cross it, and it's up one side and this. But there's also where you use just the major cards. Okay. There's also a kind of reading where you lay out the entire deck, like usually on the floor because it's the only big enough place, and then that entire deck. He wouldn't do that. I guess he did it once, and he said nobody has the right to see that much about another person, and he would never do it again.
Wow.
He would never do it anymore. And I know of one time when he lied. that he saw something
Wow.
really bad.
Yeah.
And he was the sort of person that would say to my mother, Marion, would you get me a drink? It would never occur to him to get up and get it himself. It just, that wasn't in his consciousness.
Yeah.
And this was years and years and years and years ago, or I wouldn't even talk about it. But he was doing a reading for a woman who happened to be black, and she was going down to, I guess, Alabama. And the man that she was going down there to marry was supposedly the controller at Tuskegee Institute. And she was very excited, and she knew about my father and came to have a reading. And so he lays out the cards, and he looks at the cards, and he says to my mother, let's all have drinks. Marion, would you come in the kitchen with me, and let's make drinks? And my mother's like, whoa. And so, okay. And they get in the kitchen, and my father says, I see such horrible things. How can I tell her this? And my mother, I don't know. I mean, she says she doesn't believe it. I can't believe that's true. But anyway, so he went back out. He said, oh, yes, everything looks fine. You're going to get down there. Everything's going to be lovely. And that's what he said. And what he really saw and what did happen was that she went down there. This man was not the controller of Tuskegee. He'd lied. He was impotent. He was living in squalor. And she was back with the marriage annulled like within 3 weeks.
Excellent.
And he had seen all of it, but just didn't feel it was right to tell her.
Okay, now this is where I'm going to...
and I don't know the truth of that.
This is what I'm going to share with you now. Again, the word responsibility comes up, right, when you do this work. And again, nothing is 100% in this field. And I tell people that all the time. I'm not 100%. I don't know anyone that is. Well, there was one man, right? And of course, you know, that's our wonderful, Jesus Christ. And he had 100% accuracy. So, but the one thing that happens is when you do see something that's really horrible, it's very difficult to say it, isn't it? Because again, the concern is, I went through the same thing. Could I possibly be wrong? So what I've learned to say with people is, I'm not 100%, but I want to share with you, this is what I see. Now, because I get past, present, and future, I'm not always sure where it's going to fall. But I really tell people if I think it's coming, I get feedback up to 15 years. It's still a warning to let them know that something may be coming, and please be prepared. I had been working at Excalibur nightclub one evening, and this woman walked by me, and all I heard was, Nicole Simpson. Nicole Simpson. And I'm going like, oh. And I stopped her, and I said, may I please? And I said, I'm not soliciting for your business. I don't want your money. I said, I just want to give you a little bit of information I heard from you. And I really felt responsible because I knew it was horrible. Nicole Simpson, hello, right? And I said, do you have a man stalking you? Is there an ex-boyfriend, somebody that's really like not liking you right now? And she goes, positively, my ex-boyfriend is stalking me right now. And I said, I really want you to take this so seriously. I'm worried for you. And that's what I told her. And I felt that I had to do that. Okay? I also had another time. Again, the psychic stuff, when we do this work, is, it's like, it's a lot of happiness. Wow, the sun is shining around you. Wow, you're going to have such great happiness. Or a warning to be careful. I'd been on an airplane one night, and I love black leather. Don't ask me why, but I mean black leather purses. Black leather purses, briefcases, that sort of thing. Not the slacks or anything. Right. So anyway, so I was in the plane. We're getting ready to get out, and I looked down and I saw this black leather briefcase, and all I thought was, wow, I just love that black leather briefcase this cancer patient has. And I thought, oh my God, why did I hear this cancer patient? And I knew right away what my responsibility was. And so I said to the lady, I says, ma'am, I says, do you mind if I ask you a question? And she was the nicest soul. I was like, oh my God, she's so nice. And she goes, oh sure. She goes, not a problem. What would you like to ask me? And I says, are you sure? And she goes, oh sure. And she was, what a beautiful soul. And I says, I'm a professional psychic. And she looked and she says, and I says, when was the last time you went to the doctors? And she goes, I just went a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. And she said, they just called me and said, I've got to come in. I said, it's about your female organs, isn't it? And she goes, yes, it is. I says, please do not miss that appointment.
Isn't that something?
So, this is like being on call, okay? This is like I almost want to say being in an army of light workers, here to help heal the earth, here to go ahead and make a commitment to make a difference for people. And so it's like being on call, like a doctor's on call and stuff. And Jeanette, you were just recruited. Okay?
I know.
You were just totally just recruited.
Why was I picked?
That's right, that's right. Or somewhere along the way you made a commitment to go ahead and be picked and to go ahead and join in and go like, you know what, I want to do this work. Because you're such a loving person, and I know that you want to sit here and help the world and stuff.
Absolutely.
So, Willow, I want to say thank you for sharing that with me. That's like so important. And just, I just want to tell you that I know as you start working with this, if you choose to come back into this field, because I know you're in the field anyway, no matter what you're doing, you're here. Okay?
I know that.
However it occurs to you, through your dreams, through chatting with people, whatever it is that you're doing, you're here. Okay? So, and Monique, and however that happens for you too. I just know with your daughter, she's probably just going to be going like, Mom, what did you get? Did you get that? Did you see that? So I know you guys will be working together. But, Jeanette, I want to go back now. And I want to go back to a couple of years ago when we first got to know each other, when we first started getting acquainted.
Yes.
I know your journey into the psychic field has been a very arduous one. It's been very difficult. It's been a long road to hoe is actually what it's been for you.
Absolutely.
Hasn't it been?
And I would just used to go for fun. Oh, well, Jorianne over, and you've been doing house parties for me for years, maybe almost 10 years, and I never thought I would actually turn out to become a psychic. I just did it for fun.
Yeah.
But there was maybe something, deeper than that drawing me in this field.
Well, what I want to mention is that when I first met you, I had said, one of your biggest questions was, am I going to have children?
Yes.
Oh my God. And I have to tell you, when I do this work, sometimes it's one of the hardest questions for me to work with people. The harder things were fire. Oh my God, somebody may have a fire. Oh my God, God. Oh my God, God. I'm going to have to tell somebody something devastating, something horrible for them, right? So I've had a hard time telling people in my history as I've grown up to be a psychic, telling people about a fire, they can have a fire, because that's pretty devastating. Or that somebody's really, really ill, or somebody could pass, right? Or a woman who wants to have children and she can't, and that she's going to be barren. Oh my God, I can't tell you the devastation, right? But in your case, it wasn't that.
No.
It was not that at all. And
Yes.
and your question every year kept coming up,
Yes, it
Jorianne, am I
was.
going to have kids? Jorianne, am I going to have kids?
And you always said, yes, you will, whether they're passing through you or you're adopting them, you are having children.
You're having your children.
In the beginning, but then a couple years later, you said, they are passing through you. I see them passing through you.
Coming through your body as
Yes.
a channel. That's right. And I want to tell you the first thing too is I said, because I have to find this is so funny, right? I said the very first time, I said, oh my God, I see you in this huge castle.
Yes.
And you laughed at me, right? And I get people
Yes, I
laughing
did.
at me all the time. I think it's so cute. And I'm just going like, wink, wink. It's like, okay, you don't get it. It's like, because I've learned how to do this now. Whatever. When people say, oh no, Jorianne, that can't happen, I'm going like, well, whatever. That's what my spirit guides are telling me. So I said, I saw you in this beautiful castle.
Yes.
And you asked, will you have children? And I said, yes, the spirit guides are telling me too. So a year passes, I get another phone call. Jorianne, will you come to my home? Now it's to this huge castle.
But I argued with you because I said, no, we can't move. We're going to live here.
That's my husband's job.
For 10 more years. He's a fireman, so we have to stay here. He's not going to retire for 10 more years. So, okay, this lady's wrong. Maybe I'm not paying no attention to her. She's wrong.
right.
She's wrong. And then, a couple months later, okay, let's go. He left the firehouse after 10 years, and that's it. We moved
Amazing.
to the place you said.
Yes, amazing. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
And then as your story progressed, you would still come and say, Jorianne, am I going to have children?
Yes.
And I said, yes, I'm hearing too. And I didn't know how they were coming. I didn't know how they were coming. That's what I have to tell people. And sometimes I can feel inside the body. Sometimes I literally can look at you and see you fully pregnant. It depends on how it really turns out. So the time comes where we're sitting down together again.
Yes.
And you said, will I have kids? And I said, well, let me ask, because I'm asking my guidance like you talk to your spirit guides.
Right.
And my guides had said, yes, 2. And you said, but Jorianne, I just had my fallopian tubes removed.
Yes.
And then I go inside myself going, oh, there's another spirit coming. Then I went inside myself and I said, yes, amen. Could I be wrong? God, like you, Willow, I don't want to give this lady some misinformation, right? So I heard again, yes, 2. And I believe it was on the tape at that time that we heard a voice, and this is called an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon.
Yes.
That many people in the spiritual field have captured on audio tapes, and I've got an entire collection of these EVPs, okay? But on your tape, we have a spirit voice that says, after I tell you again, you will.
Yes.
It's a voice that comes in as a whisper, and many of the spirits, when they come through this way, speak in a whisper. You will.
Absolutely.
So we have an audio tape. And Bill, do we have that on tape? Is that keyed up where we can put that on for people?
Kids. No. I just got my tubes taken out last week.
You did. Aren't you guys still thinking about having kids?
We're going to do in vitro one more time, I think the end of this month, with some frozen eggs we have left.
Okay. So, I don't know why I was thinking like 2 or 3 girls around you. Okay?
There it was.
So,
Okay, you
and
will,
whether
right?
You guys do it yourself automatically or whether you guys adopt.
Okay, so there it was. So there it was, beautiful. And it was a little hard to hear it on the tape right now, but we both heard it. You will.
The heartbeat, there was a heartbeat.
Heartbeat,
and then
yeah.
it said, whispered, you will. You
Yes, yes. So when you get these things, you can actually hear them, but it's very soft sometimes. Okay, so that came through for you.
will. Yes.
And then tell me what happened after that.
Then I had my first daughter.
Well, so then a couple months after this tape,
I did get pregnant.
You got pregnant?
And I had, well, I had a little girl. I got pregnant, but sadly she did pass away in my 9th month. And then 2 months later, I did get pregnant with 2 twin boys, and now they're happy, healthy, little, almost 2-year-old twin boys.
yes, you did.
Yes.
So it was, you experienced a horrible loss, And then your boys came in, and they were 2. They were 2 together.
Yes.
And I remember you telling me one time, God took one away, but He brought you back 2.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I believe I have felt this before too, and I believe you have said this too, that your daughter's name is Crystal.
Yes.
And you have her picture, right? And that you communicate with her, and she's coming in, you feel like she's been part of this gift. Like she's been like a little spirit guide around you.
I do.
Yes, and I know she has been.
I think that after she passed, it opened me up more, you know, just more about myself. It was more about myself. Like a month after she passed, I was at home and I was making a salad, and I just got a quick flash in my mind of my husband and I upstairs in our big bed with 2 kids in between us. And then the 2 months later, I did get pregnant, and I had 2 boys.
And I remember
did get
that.
pregnant, yep.
And I did a reading for you right after you lost your daughter.
Yep.
And before you got pregnant with the boys.
Yes.
Yes. And that was the hardest time for me. When I sat there with you after your daughter left, and I just, when you asked me again, and I was going inside my head going, God, what's going on here? You know, and then I heard clearly, 2 children. And I felt very secure in telling you, Jeanette, you were going to have your 2 children.
Yes. Any more? Do you see any
And
more?
then they came. Well, I've got a
Don't
cup of
tell my
coffee
husband,
here.
he doesn't want to know.
So it just turned out to be so wonderful.
Yes, it was perfect, yeah.
Oh my God, and they're terrific little boys.
Thank you.
And then, oh my God, there's more.
Yes.
Right? There is more. So now, Jeanette, you sit here and you're getting this impression that you're supposed to win the lottery. And I don't remember if I told you that. I know I've told you a long time. You're supposed to be very rich. I've told you forever. I know it. I see it. It's just the way it goes. So now you're getting this thing about winning the lottery, right?
Yes.
So then you go ahead and you're asking these other psychics. And I remember this one day you called me.
And I didn't win yet.
And you didn't win yet. No, you still haven't won yet, but
Before
that's
I'm
okay.
100, I hope.
That's right. But there's a white car in the deal here somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Anyway, so you called me up and you told me they were speaking with this other psychic, and I always tell people, please check everybody. I mean, it's great. This is such a great field, right? And we're all
Yes.
psychic. We're all intuitive. I don't care what anyone says. So you then had told me about hearing a sound. Right?
It was 11 o'clock at night, around 11 at night. And I'm on the phone with this lady because you're always booked. So I have to have a backup. I have to have a backup. So it's 11 o'clock at night. And I'm on the phone with this lady, and I'm downstairs getting chocolate milk. It was a year ago. I'm downstairs getting chocolate milk, and all of a sudden, it's in the dark. My husband's upstairs. The kids are in their cribs. And in the toy yard, which used to be our dining room, we made a toy yard. I heard a noise go off while I'm on the phone with this lady telling her about something that I had seen, and I felt it. This may be what I had this vision about the lottery and whatnot. And I'm on the phone with her, and then all of a sudden I said, oh, a toy went off. Oh, I'll call you later. I got scared, hung up with the lady, ran upstairs. Well, the next day I'm coming down the stairs. I get one son, and I'm going up to get the other one, and all these toys on the floor. So there was this toy phone, this one here, a toy, and it was laying on the floor at the stair, to the left of the stair, and I picked it up, and I said, I wonder if this was the thing making the noise last night.
And
So-
tell me about this
Yeah.
toy. How did you guys get it? What's the
So,
purpose of the toy? I mean, you guys, you
they
told me
had-
that
Gifts. Well-
right, you guys used to talk in there so your sons could find it. And hi, mommy.
Right,
hi,
it's just a
right?
little toy phone, and there's
Okay.
a record button on the side, and we used to say hi to the boys, you know, mommy, daddy, love you, and we'd hit play and play back to them. So I picked it up and I looked at it, oh, I guess not.
And
So
do you have any reason? Was there any reason why you picked up that
Well,
toy out of all the
no,
toys?
laying on the floor. No, this was the ringing I heard. And then I said, oh, this was the thing I heard last night. So I picked it
Now let
back
me,
up.
let me stop now. Let me stop you. Did you hear this ringing when you went downstairs?
No, this was in the nighttime in the dark, which I thought was a toy piano, or I don't know. I wasn't
Got
familiar
it,
with
okay.
toys. There was a million toys.
So would you play that? I want you to play it again. Put it by your microphone so people can hear the sound that you heard
So
that night.
After
So
I
go ahead.
looked
Go
at
ahead.
it,
Just close it though. Make it ring again, and then put it by your.
oh, I have to open it, I think, to hit play. I think I'm not. Yeah, because I have to hit play.
Okay.
So then I shut it, but then I heard the ringing, and I realized this was the noise. And what made me pick it up and what made me hit play, I can never tell you. So I hit play, and this is what I heard.
You did.
A spirit voice saying,
Say,
you will.
You will. So this is the night that you were talking about the vision that you were going to win the lottery. You're speaking with a psychic on the phone. A toy goes off,
A toy.
like this.
Ringing.
You're hearing the ringing, like, hello, this is a telephone, please pick it up, right? So now we have you.
And I thought, my God, if I would have knew it was a toy in the night and picked it up, I would have passed out and had a heart attack. Because who comes on who comes and talks on a toy, you know?
Totally. And who does come and talk on a toy?
Yeah, but the
our
same
spirit
two
guides and our
words.
angels.
The same two words that I heard on your tape in '03, and here we are years later.
So this is 3 years later now. So you've got your spirit guides coming through on an audio tape telling you you will have your children. Okay? Now, 3 years later, you're getting a vision about winning the lottery. And I know we're staying friends forever. I understand that.
But I also might have got a mixed message because the month that I thought I was supposed to win was the month that I got my gift of
now
being a psychic. So I think maybe I've misinterpreted.
all right, now I
Maybe
have to go back. Now I have to go back with this. And I hope you don't mind me mentioning this.
No.
I remember when I was reading you the last time when all these other psychics said, Jorianne, I'm going to win in this month, and then I didn't have such good news for you. And I remember you were frustrated with me on that reading.
I
And
know
these are-
I've seen it, and it's this
these are-
year. Yeah, that was last year. That's what my husband says. Are you still on that?
These are some of the things that I got to tell you, when you're a psychic, when you're working with people, these are some of the things you have to deal with, okay?
Yes.
People come in wanting certain information, and they're sure that this is it. And it still could be it. It still could be. But at that time, I couldn't say, yes, Jeanette, it's happening in March, or yes, you're winning the lottery, or whatever. I said, yes, something's coming, but not right away. And you were so frustrated that night. I remember that. Do you remember that night?
Yes.
You do, very good.
Yes, I do.
Okay, very good. So, but you have your spirit guidance coming in saying, What's it saying? You will, you will, you will.
Yes.
So you know somewhere. Again, here's the month that you said, and I even said to you in that reading, you know, whether it is the lottery, Jeanette, or whether it is like the lottery,
This gift.
I said to you,
Yes.
then you are winning.
Yes.
And that is when that came in for you,
Absolutely.
that month. So you've got the spirit connection. You've got your guardian angels around you talking to you. You've made contact.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You've got your daughter on the other side helping you, right? Your little angel.
Yes.
And you've got your love and devotion toward these people. Now, I personally can't wait to see what happens from here.
And I say, God could let me hear anything or get a quick picture, but don't ever let me see anything, please, God. I don't want to see anyone standing around. I could sense if people are around, but I don't want to actually physically see someone there. I'm not ready for that. That's your department. I don't want to see anyone.
So that, again, is one of those growing experiences, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those growing, because I had the same fear a long time ago. I was literally scared of this field at least 5 or 6 times. And but then I just said, God, put me where you want me to be.
Yes.
And then I finally realized I wanted to see everybody on the other side. And
Not me.
and I'll tell you, the very first time my grandmother, when she died, she appeared at the foot of my bed with her hands folded down by her side. And I'm like, oh, Nana, go away. And I threw the blankets over my head. And I did, she stayed there the whole night with a very soft, beautiful look on her face. And I woke up 5 times throwing the blanket up over my head, telling her to go away. But that's what we do when there's psychic field and you're starting to open up. And some of the stuff will scare us because we've gotten so used to being in the physical world. We've gotten so used to learning, you know, or seeing through these physical eyes, you know, tasting and touching through this physical body, hearing through these physical ears. And so it's one of these things where you learn and you kind of learn to go, you know, maybe I can say it, the psychic field is like learning to listen and hear inside out. Learning from the inside, seeing from the inside, hearing from the inside, right? And knowing that it's coming from the spirit world. So you know what I want to say? I know it's time to wrap up and everything right now. So I want to say thank you so much, Jeanette, for being on my show.
Thank you for having me.
For sharing your wonderful gift. It's totally exciting to me. I see so many people that are psychic and coming into the psychic field, and I see it years and years before it's even going to happen. Yes. And I'm very excited for you. I really can't wait for your gift to come up more as it is. Yes. Whether it is the lottery, which, and it very well may be the lottery, keep buying those lottery tickets. Okay?
I will.
Yes? And so I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Monique, my God, how wonderful. I'm so glad you came. And
I'm happy to be here.
And it's got to be exciting for you with Jeanette.
There's so much more I could talk about. I mean, did you ever stand in a store, Jorianne, and think, are these people, can they read your mind? I mean, because you can almost read, like Jeanette says, when you brush up by somebody,
that
a
you
lot
listen.
about them.
Yeah.
And
well,
it's scary.
It is scary. It is. Well, thank
but
you
I'm
for
glad
sharing.
To be here. Yeah,
thank you so much. And Willow, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for inviting me.
My great pleasure. And again, I'm very excited to wait and see exactly what happens for you as things start coming on and everything and making the changes that you're going through. It's very exciting.
Thank you.
So thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So tell me about what's your next step. What's going to be next for you?